The state of immigration here in the UK is a mess. We have no control over how many people come here and who comes here. Literally thousands of illegal migrants are crossing the channel every day on their little dinghies, and they're not getting sent home. They are either getting fast-tracked to being British citizens, or they are being housed in disused British military barracks. And of course, they're being put in luxurious hotels. And all this is costing the British taxpayer billions. There are countless British people homeless on the streets. There are countless British ex-army veterans, Navy and Air Force, of course, not forgetting them, homeless on the streets. And yet the government's priority is to house and look after people who come here illegally. This is wrong, and many people here are rightfully pissed off about it. Now, despite the fact that many of us voted for Brexit back in 2016 in order to secure our borders and control the amount and who we have immigrating to this island, it's still an issue that hasn't been addressed by any successive government. Now, we've had 4 prime ministers since Brexit, which is embarrassing, which means we've had 4 cabinets, and none of them have done anything about migration. Sure, we've had sound bites, they've told us what we want to hear, but no action. And it's the lefties who've put paid to that. Now, as we all know, there are a string of strikes here in the UK involving many agencies and companies. And one of the bodies striking are the Border Force. Now, the Border Force exists to help secure our so-called borders. I mean, my goodness. All I can say is this. I would say, well, thank God for the English Channel, which has been a natural barrier for invaders for centuries. But even that's proving useless now against the huge tide of illegal migrants crossing over on their little dinghies. It's an invasion, folks. There's no other way of putting it. The vast majority of them aren't really refugees. They are mostly Albanians coming here to continue their criminal enterprise, and people from other countries looking for a better life, not really and necessarily escaping a war-torn country. France isn't a war-torn country. The EU is at peace with each other. There is absolutely no reason for them to spend thousands of euros securing their seats on little unseaworthy dinghies and putting their lives at risk to cross the channel. There's no reason for it. They don't need to do it. They don't have to do it. If they decide to make that journey and they sink to the bottom of the English Channel, that's on them. And the so-called Border Force, they're not helping matters either. They are effectively a taxi service. The French authorities will get in touch with the UK Border Force. They'll tell them there's so much migrants crossing on their little boats from either Calais or Dunkirk or elsewhere. And then the Border Force will pop over there in the boats and just ferry them back. They are effectively a taxi service for these people. And in doing so, they are ensuring that these people realise that if they get into difficulty on the English Channel, then the Border Force will come and rescue them. And it's not just the Border Force, it's the RNLI, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution. And that's even been transformed into another form of transport to these people. And the only way to deal with this is to, when they pick them up, just take them back. Don't bring them back here. Take them back to France. That's the only deterrent. Stop these people in the act and return them from whence they came. They should be discouraged rather than encouraged. So anyway, the Border Force is one of these entities that's currently on strike and making people's lives a misery. When I'm saying making people's lives a misery, the Border Force are absent from UK airports. But things are going far more swimmingly and smoother without them. That's because the British Army have taken over. People are taking to social media in their droves to say that they are clearing passport control faster than ever, and that the British Army are far more efficient than the Border Force they've replaced. And you know, folks, I'm not really surprised. I'm a former squaddie, as you can imagine. And when the Army does get involved with things, it does things quickly, swiftly, with a can-do attitude, no fuss, no muss. And despite the woke cancer that's currently spreading slowly through the armed forces, it's still, I think, a source of national pride. But guess what? It gets even worse for the so-called border force, because, in fact, I shall call them the border farce, shouldn't I? Because a border force official has been arrested for being an illegal migrant. Surprise, surprise, colour me shocked. Now, this officer is thought to be an Albanian national who came to Britain 20 years ago, claiming to be a Kosovan refugee, and the anti-corruption unit investigating arrested 3 others for conspiracy to steal. So the border force had an illegal migrant in their midst for 2 decades and they didn't even know. Now, the information not released about this person is how high up the ranks they were and where they were in the decision-making process, which is quite concerning. So surely every illegal migrant that's been picked up and processed where this officer was involved surely has to be re-vetted, because we don't know if this officer knew any of the illegal migrants or was in touch with people traffickers giving them tips. We just don't know. But what we do know is the border farce is indeed that. It's a farce. It's a joke. It's testament to the British Army and their own performance that things are going swimmingly in their absence, and they're a complete waste of taxpayers' money. I believe the only way to stop illegal migrants crossing over the channel is to apprehend them on the beaches or halfway over the channel and return them to France. And sod what the French authorities say. We are paying these people, we are paying France millions to prevent this from happening, and they're doing diddly squat. So the French are unreliable. We have to take matters into our own hands and deal with it ourselves. So catch them, return them, become a deterrent rather than encouragement to come here, and stop paying the French. Because these people are seeing us coming. Our governments are being walked over. Because dealing with illegal migration is a toxic issue. People are scared of being called xenophobic, Islamophobic, racist. And because of that woke mindset, fear of the woke mobs, they've allowed an illegal migrant who lied about their status to infiltrate the ranks of the border force and join them. And I can guarantee you, they won't be the only one. What an absolute joke, folks. Anyway, that's my video. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And until later on, Roger Trout.